I'll be honest there, I'm still getting used to these videos. Like I had January all planned out, but I didn't write anything down, so I didn't put anything into like my schedule or anything, so that whole plan is just like out the window. So last week was supposed to be an office tour, and this week was supposed to be like a what's in my bag kind of video. But because my office is only half done, I've only moved like half of my gear into the office. And so today is going to be what's half in my camera bag. What's up everyone, welcome back to the channel. Would I even be a videographer if I didn't do one of these videos? So having a bag that's like versatile was really important for me. There's so many things that can go wrong on a wedding day, things that you'll need to troubleshoot, that you need wires for, that you'll need adapters and connectors for, and so I wanted to be always prepared for a wedding day. And so I needed a bag that had different compartments that could hold different things, but could also keep my gear safe. And so I got this bag here. This is the Mindshift something.
Hooray.
Long story short, I went to an unnamed camera place and I asked for a hard case because I thought that would be the most, like, you know, it'll protect your gear the best and it just looks cool, like looks pretty gangster walking into like a shoot with like a suitcase and stuff. But for some reason, he gave me like a bag, so I just bought it. But I'm stuck with it, so I make use of it. Up here, I keep all my labs. So I know that my top pocket's labs, my second pocket is wires, my third pocket's batteries. It's cool because it comes with like these random dividers that you can like move, you can change. ASMR. But yeah, so it pretty much holds all the gear that I need like on a random shoot. That's pretty much it. Let's go through the rest of the gear. And that's all the B-roll I had time to film. My camera of choice is the Sony A7 III. I know it's like a very, very popular videography camera. There were a few reasons why I chose the A7 III over the other cameras that were in the market. At the time I purchased it 2 years ago, and it was one of the only cameras that could shoot 120 frames a second at 1080p. It was like killer beast in low light situations, which suited my style. At the time I was shooting a lot of weddings, which tended to take place at night time, you know, reception and things like that. So I needed a camera that could survive in low light situations. To be honest, I was upgrading from my Canon like 60D, so any camera that was better than that camera like would have been fantastic. The other camera that I use is the A6400, the Sony A6400. It's got similar optics to the A7 III, not quite as good. It is a crop sensor camera. There's no image stabilization, but the reason I got it was one of the limitations on the A7 III was it couldn't record continuously. Every half hour it would stop and I'd have to press record again for it to keep recording. But with the A6400, Sony introduced a new feature of continuous long form recording, so I could you know, I could take this to weddings and things like that, church ceremonies, funerals, whatever. I could plug it in with an AC adapter, hit record, and I wouldn't have to worry about the camera just randomly stopping. I probably will upgrade to like the A7S III sometime this year, depending on the budget. It's just like it's like a step up from the cameras that I have at the moment. But for what I do, which is a lot of run and gun situations, these cameras have served me well. My drone of choice, I use the Dji Mavic 2 Pro. There's nothing bad I could really say about this. As far as drones go, I think the Mavic set the bar, well, DJI in general has set the bar for the functions of a drone and what should be offered in a drone. Having owned the Mavic Air as well as the GoPro Karma, I think Mavic 2 Pro just blows everything out of the water. You can record an H.265. You have like a higher codec. You can record 4K. There's the inbuilt functions of hyperlapse and time lapse, as well as all the smart controls that you can have. I also use the Polar Pro ND filters. What else do I have? Let's talk about lenses. So I have 3 lenses at the moment. The first lens that I bought was the Zeiss 55mm f1.8. Man, this lens is just like super crisp. I think it's one of the sharpest Sony lenses that I've ever seen, and I use it for both photo and video. At f1.8 you're getting that nice shallow depth of field. and it's my go-to lens for a lot of the testimonial type videos that I do, interview-based videos, because it just blurs out the background really nicely and sort of gives that nice depth. The second lens that I bought was the Sony 28mm f2. Now this is just sort of a standard wide lens. It's the optics aren't that great, but when you put it on a gimbal, man, everything looks like real nice and crisp. It's wide enough, and also the f-stop is low enough for it to have a nice cinematic feel. I use this for a lot of like dance or creative projects, if I'm following people around, or yeah, a lot of my gimbal work is shot on the 28mm f2. The third lens that I own, now when I used to hire out gear all the time, I used to hire out the Dji Mavic, the 24-70 f2.8. I went with the cheaper option, which actually like it measures up quite well. I went with the Tamron 28-75. It's sort of like the not third party, but sort of like an alternative version to the Dji Mavic. But to be honest, it holds its weight quite well, and unless you're looking at the footage side by side, you probably won't see a difference, and that's just because it's just optics. So that's 2 cameras, 3 lenses, and the drone, as well as the the batteries and things like that. All of that fits in my camera bag. The other things that I carry with me in my camera bag to most of the shoots that I go to is just these really cheap Yongnuo lights. So these are two LED lights. I think they're like $300 altogether, like both of them. They're really small, but they really pack a punch, and the good thing about them is not only are they battery powered, but they can be AC powered, so you can plug in an AC adapter, but also they're Bluetooth, so you can control the brightness, but as well as turning them on and off from the Yongnuo app on your phone. So it's like really handy when I'm shooting on the field, like especially at like a wedding reception, but I'm far away from the lights, I'm filming at the same time. I can just hold the camera in one hand and pull out my phone and just like flick them on and off for like some crazy dance scene or something like that. Or if I can't walk in front of somebody, I can just turn it on from my phone. So it's really handy, really handy. I own 3 audio devices at the moment. I use the Zoom H1N as just one of my lapels. I also own the Tascam DR10L. I also own the Rode Go wireless. I would only use that if that's probably my backup lapel mic, because it's so chunky, it looks really ugly. I also have the Rode Videomic Pro Plus, which is what I'm recording on at the moment. That's like my favorite shotgun mic. There's so many functions that it comes with. I mean, you can record dual levels. My gimbal of choice is of course the Ronin S. I don't use it too often. That's because most of the gimbal work, well, to be honest, it's just because I'm too lazy to to balance it most of the time. But yeah, that's pretty much my whole setup for running gun, everything, and all of that fits in my bag, and that's pretty much me set for the day. I've got all my audio gear, I've got all my lighting gear, I've got all my cameras and my lenses, and then I've got my 2 stands. I'll have my gimbal in one hand and my tripod on my other hand. So everything fits in my bag, and I've got 2 other sticks in my hand, and that's me for the day. Yeah, that's pretty much my whole setup. But yeah, bro, that's me. See you next week. I should probably make an intro for these YouTube videos, eh? The intro.